What is it with redheads and runnings of a high office?
Hi, I'm Andy.
And I'm Roger,
And welcome to The Middle,
where we try to have thoughtful conversations
about awkward topics.
on our search to find the middle.
We're going to give you last week's news today.
That's a slogan we should put on the t-shirt.
Stop touching her!
I am tonight announcing my candidacy.
Taylor Swift.
Look, my biggest issue with marriage is that I think that it's a fundamentally flawed institution that is built on the oppression of women.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny.
Having truly rational conversations about controversial issues is risky these days.
Yeah, Roger.
Andy, how you doing?
I've got a listener question for you if you're up for it.
Oh, it's been a while.
Long time between drinks. So, Andy and Roger, I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but I'm going to vote One Nation at the next election. Never voted for them before, and until recently, I probably would have thought anyone who did was a bit of a crank. But I'm increasingly fed up with the major parties. Immigration's too high. Governments have become obsessed with issues that matter more to activists than ordinary people. And I'm tired of politicians seeming terrified to say anything unfashionable about crime, Australia Day, gender, or national identity. I don't agree with Pauline Hanson on everything, and some of One Nation still makes me cringe. But at this point, voting for them feels less like endorsing every policy and more like sending a message that I want politics to move in a different direction. Am I falling for populism, or is voting One Nation now a fairly rational response for someone who feels politically homeless?
Wow. How much, just before we dive into it, what percentage of people do you think are actually swing voters?
I'd say, I think a third is like not a bad rule of thumb. But that doesn't quite map to the fact that we've got different political parties.
So you think, so basically you're saying that a third of people, of the Australian population, decides every election?
Well, I don't think it would be more than a third. I think it would be probably less than a third. People's voting behaviours and patterns tie into their identity, right? It's like a Greens voter is a Greens voter. Because they are a Green vote, they identify as a Greens voter. And I think sometimes Labor voters also have a strong identity around who they are that's kind of twinge of left, but also not crazy left either. And I think that's actually probably one of the reasons the Liberal Party is currently struggling, because they do have an identity crisis and no one wants to put their hand up and say, I'm a proud Liberal. And no one's wanted to do that for a very long time because the brand has been tarnished with a whole bunch of kind of fairly weak people who people don't want to kind of be associated with. I'm a Tony Abbott fan, people don't want to admit that, so they're detangled from their sense of identity.
Yeah, that is true. I would have thought that the percentage of people that are up for their vote being decided on every election was much, much lower. I would have thought it's under is a 5% situation.
Yeah, I don't think it's 5%. It is in terms of if you think of the history of Australian politics, and you think about it two-party preferred, it usually is swings between 45-55, right? Yeah. But if you it is won and lost within that sort of 5-point margin, right? Typically, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that people aren't shifting and moving and morphing within the parties, and there isn't movement, right? So the movement, you might have for every voter who's not rusted on, right? You might have one that flips the other way, the opposite way to them. So it's the net change that.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
and the reason I kind of started with this thought is more that I don't believe that we're like America in this way. I don't think there is as much that kind of strong cultural identity that's attached to the voting coalition, which is our version of Republican, and Labor, which is, our version of the Democrats. I don't think that there's a strong identity, and maybe, it's obviously because of compulsory voting and other things like that. Yes, I do believe the Greens vote, has a very strong sense of identity that would be very hard to leave, but I just don't see that. There's that apathy in compulsory voting that I just don't think has fostered a very strong attitude of being, like you said, I'm a liberal, which means all these things, all these other cultural things, and you kind of know within a degree of certainty that I'm going to vote on all the in this whole suite of policies based on conservative values or whatever it is, right? And so I'm just trying to work out, is it that I mean, you have to vote in Australia. Is giving your vote to One Nation, does that take you onto the precipice of an identity problem for you? I don't know, right? Like, I think the votes are cheap in compulsory voting in a lot of ways, right? They're not really earned.
Well, they are earned because you've got to get the vote from the other. It's a competition, right? You got to get it from.
But everyone gets one though. You got that. There's a lot of people who don't care.
Okay, you don't need the concept of pulling out the vote, but but I suppose you still need. I think the difference is, and what you're talking about is like the apathetic people don't vote in those systems. So everyone who does vote, almost by definition, is like
super fans,
really into it, right? Like it's like they're the people watching, like lining up at the cinemas to watch like Star Wars Episode 1, like front of the
dressed
queue,
in the outfits and all weird.
You know, like they bought all the Jar Jar Binks toys, kind of thing. They're probably worth a lot of money today. But that's the difference, right? And they've also got like, well, at least what's different here to here is they've got like the whole primary thing going on too. So like it's this, you have to register to vote for your, like the person that you want to be the candidate for that particular party. And they have kind of versions of that here as well. I mean, in the Labor Party, to select the leader of the Labor Party, they, since the whole Kevin Rudd, Julia Gillard kind of flip-flop thing, they introduced that. Although it hasn't been used I think it was only used once, if I recall correctly, with Bill Shorten and Anthony Albanese back in the day. But I think in certainly that model has been in play in the UK for a bit longer as well.
All right, well, let's get to the question. I've got my thoughts, but I want to hear yours first, because I think we've revealed our cards on Pauline Hanson and One Nation in previous episodes gone by. But talk to me about what you think, like in terms of taking the plunge for One Nation. And it does sound like this listener identifies as a very, he's not on the fringe, right? He's got his head screwed on.
Look, I think if you really know what you're doing and you're like really clear-minded about the fact that One Nation absolutely does not have the solutions. Like if you're clear-minded that the country would be in ruins if they were in government. Like, let's make no mistake. If One Nation wins the next election and Pauline Hanson is Prime Minister, Australia will be on a very fast trajectory to mayhem in probably a more obscene way than even Donald Trump's America is, right? In terms of just really terrible policy decisions.
You don't think that she would still just have to recruit from the existing political class in Australia, though?
All of the things that have generated our prosperity over many, many years, all the rules out the window, and look, when Malcolm Roberts, who believes in chemtrails, is one of your senior members of cabinet, you've got a few things to worry about, right? So, look, I just think if you're clear-eyed about that, right, but you've just come to the conclusion that, look, strategically speaking, the message that I'm sending here is worth the cost or the risk of actually fueling this movement, and you're clear-eyed about that, then I think you can potentially make the case, but I probably wouldn't put my protest vote in the One Nation. Like, I don't think they should be the default protest vote choice. Like, maybe just to put it another way, right? On the hierarchy of choice, right? You might not like the Labor government, the Albanese government. You might be frustrated with the coalition under Angus Taylor or whoever else is in that revolving change room of leaders, but would you really prefer One Nation over them? Like, really? Like, is there and like, I think that's the thing you've really got to answer, because I think if the answer is yes, as in you prefer One Nation, you haven't thought about it enough.
Yeah, all I can think about, Andy, is how the ABC releases the vote compass. I mean, that thing's not going to work this year, like in the next election. It's just because even if the policy platform is thin anyway, but even if you do answer it and say, yeah, I don't want immigration and blah, 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 how is the vote compass going to be able to tell that, one nation's ability to even represent that or execute? Because it's based on the two major parties and their history of delivery of their policy. And one nation doesn't have any of that, right? It's like, I think people have to realize sometimes that you got to think of it almost like we're owners. We're owners of Bruce Enterprises or whatever it's called, Wayne Enterprises, right? And that's Australia. And we're choosing our board of directors, right? Like that's what's stake here, the family fortune, right? And you want the most competent people to run not just internet memes and people when they talk, they tell you what you want to hear. I think people have really forgotten this because it's boring. You need good administrators, right? You need the freaking nerdier the better. Like take the celebrity out of it. And I just think that I'll go back to where what has changed? What has changed with Pauline Hanson? How do you go from a laughing stock to now, in polls, the preferred Prime Minister of Australia? It just doesn't, there has not been enough of a change for the average person to get there. This is all just vibes and poor showing by incumbents, but there's not been enough. It's definitely not earned, right? And I understand a protest vote, but like you said, you got to go into this with a little bit more, right? Like, and this is the problem, because you don't think your vote really matters, in Compulsory.
I think this is not dissimilar to a Greens voter, like thinking, look, I'm like, if you are into progressive politics and you value the same things that the Greens value, or, project that they value, then the Greens are like this nice, happy place to vote, right? Because it can be you exercising your affinity with progressive movements and so on and so forth, right? Whatever they believe in, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to think that hard about the consequences of your vote, because the Greens are not a party of government. They're a party of sniping from the background and, that hold the actual government to account. And that's their place, right? And One Nation and voices like Pauline Hanson have been the equivalent of that in their kind of pocket on the right or the far right, whatever you want to characterize it as. And I think that's where I have like a little bit of kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say like I'm like, I have sympathies to like One Nation and Pauline Hanson, but like that's where I kind of see the value of those kind of, those kind of awkward voices, right? To push the mainstream political elite to have to respond to the things that the people in kind of suburbia and maybe less represented kind of backwaters, sorry, that's a bad way of putting it, sort of, kind of thing. Like their value is to be that contrarian voice, but you don't hand them government.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's the important thing. But also, I would just say that when you're in a dark place and you start to find Pauline Hanson quite convincing, you need to just take any one of her statements, plug it into Google, and really work out what's going on here. Take anything that she runs on, immigration or this monoculture stuff or whatever it is, and just go a little bit deeper, because there's no solutions. There's nothing there, right? There's not even a plan, right? And I think that it's totally okay to be fed up and want to send a message. But again, just like you said, going in there with clear eyes and understanding what Pauline Hanson and One Nation are offering the Australian people, right?
I guess the good thing is that there probably is no scenario where she wins government at the next election, right?
So what they thought about Trump? True.
It still seems like completely out of the realms of possibility that Pauline Hanson will be Prime Minister. Like that's just a step too far. And maybe that's just not taking the threat seriously enough. But like this is like how I think it's going to play out. So I think, that she'll have like a good result at the next election. And I think what will happen is it will probably be like really good compared to what it has been, but nowhere near as good as like what everyone sort of like. It won't be like neck and neck, right? And it's even if she gets more seats than the Liberal Party or the Coalition, it won't be catastrophic for even them because, like, there's a certain moment right now where, like, there's this momentum for this big protest vote that's going to come, right? Which is a big fuck you to both sides of politics, right? And once people have had their fuck you moment, people will start to come back and to sort of be more like, okay, look, we've got to work with this. All right, how do we like, and I don't think that's an enduring policy platform for One Nation. So I think there will just be this one wave to One Nation, and then it'll fizzle out. And by that stage, Pauline Hanson will leave Parliament and she'll retire, and we'll never hear about, like, One Nation will fizzle out properly. Like, kind of like what the Australian Democrats happened to the Australian Democrats like 25 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's on the cards for One Nation. So they have this, so they're yet to peak, they're probably peaked in terms of popularity, I reckon, at the moment, but they're yet to peak in terms of votes and members in Parliament. So they will peak at the next election, then they'll come down, and then they'll fizzle out, and we won't be talking about One Nation in 20 years' time.
Well, I don't know. Pauline's a survivor, that's for sure.
Do you reckon 99-year-old Pauline Hanson?
Well, now her daughter's actually going to be a double act in the Senate, potentially. But what's the deal with Gina Rinehart, right? Like, I mean, it's clear what she wants, but if you are just a voter or a punter, and you're seeing this, her buying Pauline Hanson a private jet, and showing up at kind of events and conventions in a cowboy hat next to her, like, what are you reading into this?
I don't think people care as much as the political elite think that people care about this stuff. I think sometimes the Canberra sort of bubble gets into this moment of like there's a certain like set of rules of the game that you play by, and there's a certain suite of things that, got you on that one. Oh, you did that. Oh, this is going to be political dynamite. But punters don't care. Punters aren't paying attention to it, and if they are, they just go, okay, well, yeah, I mean, like, all the other pollies do this shit anyway. Like, they take, we've got like donations from developers. We've got the unions, like a bit dodge. We've got people, I think, know that politics is grubby, right? And this is just like, hey, finally, we've got a billionaire supporting like the underdog, right? I think that's kind of how people view it. I don't think it's this like political dynamite that turns people off in the way that the political class
see it as a win because she's got the backing.
I don't think the public see it as like a necessarily a voice of credibility, but I think it is worth actually unpacking why Gina Rinehart would back.
Well, it's very simple in my point of view, and it's a 2-word period, which is net zero, right? Like that's what it is for her.
Yeah, but I think it's deeper than that. Like, it's almost the the diametrically opposed like Soros thing, right? There's this, billionaires influence into all these progressive causes. It's not just purely like rent seeking and policy positions, because if you there'd be much cheaper ways to. I mean, they were fucking like holidaying in Italy together, right? So there's a certain kind of like they like each other kind of thing. They're kind of into each other, right? So in some respect, right? So I think, I don't know. I think it's deeper than that. It's not just
you can holiday in the south of France without donating to the political movement, my friend.
No, but they're holidaying together.
I'm saying, like, you can be friends.
I'm just saying, I think it's more than just.
Well, I suppose you never took Peter Dutton out on a holiday with him.
Billionaires have a multitude. I mean, Elon Musk is a perfect example. Like, they have lots of things going on, right? They like having a sense of that they're influencing something. They like backing someone that, like, I'm gonna like it's a personal hobby project for her, right? I'm going to like fund One Nation. I wonder if I can, it's like Clive Palmer doing his thing with the United Australia. I mean, what the fuck's that all about, right? Like, they do really fucking weird things sometimes, right? And I think this is just them trying to sort of, like, obviously she's like a right-wing kind of nut job, right? But like, I think it extends beyond just pure like commercial interests. Like, I think it's identity and like, yeah, those fuckers, you know.
What is it with redheads and runnings of a high office? You know, our first female prime minister, Julia Gillard, was also a redhead. Something going on.
Are you trying to say our next female prime minister will be
Just saying.
a redhead?
Yeah, just saying. It's like, you know, when you're scrolling past the channels back in the day and The Simpsons are on, and it always catches your eye. There's something about the red hair, I think. Plays well on the camera. Okay, well, let's wrap this up by going to one more kind of space. So when I was up visiting you in Brisbane last week, we decided to donate to the Party of One Nation by purchasing the Super Progressive movie, which was, for those who haven't seen it, it's produced by Pauline Hanson, right? But it's a South Park style animation, a satire of, you know, fighting wokeness, and it brings in a lot of key characters like Anthony Albanese and others. And it's what's your hot take? How many stars? Rotten Tomatoes.
It was like all right, I'm gonna say 3 good things, 3 bad things. 3 good things. I'll start with the good. Number 1, there's some genuinely funny moments, right? And anyone who's familiar with the cartoon, like the YouTube cartoon that One Nation release regularly, it's that kind of thing, right? And there's some genuinely like funny moments, right? The second thing, because of the way it's distributed and because of who is putting it out and the circumstances it's being put out, there's zero filter. Like there's no guardrails on this thing. Like there's nothing saying, hey, that joke's not quite gonna fly. Like, can we just maybe temper that one down?
I don't think they did the focus testing on this one.
Well, it's not even about that. It's like the audience that they're like. It's like, you know, sometimes like there is a lowest common denominator. Like we need something that's like family friendly, that, you know, everyone's gonna like, no matter whether, you know, who they vote for, what side of politics they are. Like we've got to make it like generally like appeal to as many people as possible. Like, no, this is like targeting a very narrow cohort of like people who don't care about making abo jokes, that kind of thing, right? Yeah. So like that's the kind of audience for this, and I say that to echo the language used in the movie. The third thing that's good about it, maybe just to talk more utilitarian about like what it is. There is a little bit of like political commentary in there, which I think is not without depth. So some of it's trying to make that, hey, like we're not all like outside like the ABC Ultimo and the Canberra bubble. Like we're not all bigots, like kind of outside of that. Like, and we might not speak like you and act like you and all of that, but like, hey, we're, you know, like stop just assuming the worst of everybody, and just when someone just is, like we were talking about in our monoculture episode, sometimes some people just want their bread and margarine shop to, you know, on the high street, and there's nothing pernicious about that. Yeah. Like that it's okay to just want some things to be the way they used to be. So those are the 3 good things. 3 bad things. It was too long for like this humor does not work for like 2 hours straight or however long it was, right?
It felt quite long, didn't it?
Yeah, like it's like this is great as a YouTube like short type thing, but like this gets pretty monotonous like pretty quickly. Number 2 is like some of it was just a bit too much. Like really. I'm just trying to
look, I think this is the part that really got me, that it's not it delivered on what I thought it was going to be in the box, right? But there was a real grossness to it. Like, you know, just for our listeners, you know, there's one scene where Anthony Albanese's, you know, daughter, which is a bearded man with a blonde wig, like falls out of a truck, and he lands on the erect cock of like a progressive person, and he comes instantly, and then he gets pregnant. Like that's the kind of shit that's happening in this movie, right? And for me, like, it's such a crazy move. Why would you, as a political figure, wanting to have some kind of prominence and be a serious player in the game, you literally have your likeness, Pauline Hanson. She is a character in the film. Why would you be wanted near this kind of jizz-soaked, you know, scene? Like, that's the kind of stuff you run from. You try to distance yourself. Not I produced it, and my likeness is standing next to. The whole thing is let's just say it's a very novel strategy. It's never been done before, and that's not to say it won't work.
But the thing, there hasn't been like a political backlash from this though. Like there was, I think there was like even the only thing I can think of that was like a little bit of a backlash, but it wasn't even really a true backlash, but it was like the song at the end, which like I didn't even pay attention to. Whereas like, yeah, some of these scenes were a bit like, Oh,
I mean, can you imagine though, right? So if you're trying to win over half the country, you show like our dads this movie. I mean, there's no way they're getting through it. It's like, what kind of person, what does it say about a person who puts this kind of stuff out there, right? And like sponsors it. It's just too much for people, right? Like,
well, the good news, you have to pay $10 to watch it. So
$14 actually. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that you're going to lose more people than you're going to win by showing them this movie, right? It's going to turn people right off. And if you are religious in any way or conservative, you just can't. You probably can't even go walk down this driveway. Really, it's too much.
I actually think what she's seizing on with the cartoon, this movie, and all that, and even just some of her statements that she's been making, is that people are fucking sick and tired of like what would be described as like wokeness, but even political correctness, like if that's like a less severe version of wokeness, I don't know. Because like, let's face it, like we kind of went through the equivalent of the Cultural Revolution for the West, like, where, in China, they had all sorts of like kind of this kind of collective madness, right? And it's still around, right? There's still pockets of it. Right? There's still places where there's things that are legacy products from that time. And a lot of it's gone away. And you know what? If you were to press me to say, what's like the best thing about Donald Trump? It would be that I think he kind of killed wokeness. Like, I think he almost single-handedly did, because, I mean, when you have AOC taking her pronouns off her signature block after the election loss, like, hey, like that's something you can solidly credit to Donald Trump. So, but no, I think people are sick of that stuff, and I think she is like the only really credible figure against it.
That is true. But again, these are all the good things that you probably don't want to sully by depicting cross-dressing sex scenes on an animation. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll defend the right for someone to draft that cartoon, right? But the question is it funny, or is it just...
I mean, the script read must have been wild, right? Like, just there's got to be some adults in the room just saying, "Hey, have we gone a little bit too far here? We don't have to put all of these scenes in." They're like, "No, do
it." I'm just imagining like Pauline Hanson, like I've watched this video of her in her office, showing all of the cartoons. Like political cartoons of her future, and she's like holding this new one she's going to put up, and I'm just thinking, and here's the cell of the jizz going on the cartoon. putting it on the wall.
You know what? Let me end that as a final piece of advice to our listener. Thank you for writing in, by the way. You need to pull your wallet out, spend the $14, and watch the super progressive movie. And if you still feel like voting for her afterwards, go right ahead.
At the margin, I didn't feel less likely to vote One Nation
after watching it.
Yeah.
It
didn't impact my views.
That's because you already don't take them serious. But if you are someone who thinks, "Hey, this matriarch is starting to make a lot of sense, common sense even," and then you watch the super progressive movie, then maybe you might not feel the same.
But you might be like, the listener did point out sort of culture war related issues. So it's that, I like that someone doesn't care. Like, I like that. Yep, this is a signal to the community that Pauline Hanson does not care what makes you laugh.
There you go.
All right, over and out.